we were talking about in the earlier shows how we're multidimensional beings and how everything is interconnected, that we're physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. So, what have you noticed as far as like living this lifestyle, how it affects you emotionally, mentally, and spiritually? I would love to hear about your experiences if you feel that this lifestyle brings you closer to Mother Earth or if it strengthens your gifts of spirit. I would love to hear like anything that you have to say about that area.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It definitely does. I think for me, what I noticed first and foremost was just how much gratitude I had for these plants, and that literally the universe, Mother Earth, has created a plant that specifically targets and heals every single part of your body. It's like, that's pretty freaking amazing. So, that in itself, for me, when I got started, was just this immense gratitude because I was in a position where I could take care of my kids at home. I didn't have to rush them to the doctor every time they got sick, like my parents did with me. And just those different experiences, not having to put them through that was huge for me. So I think gratitude is what I felt first and foremost. And then the longer I was on a plant-based diet and taking herbs, because I had taken a lot of pharmaceuticals in my younger years and antibiotics and things, that I really had to do a lot of repairing, especially of my stomach. My intestines were a disaster. And I think a lot of that was how many times I was put on antibiotics. So within a year, I noticed a huge difference with my mental clarity, with how I felt, obviously, physically and emotionally was balanced, because at one point in my life, I did try taking antidepressants, and I know that that altered my chemistry in my brain. And so I really needed to do some repairing on that. So I literally would just pick a part of my body when I first started this. And I think this is something that people should do regularly, at least once a year. But to go through those different parts of your body and work on a specific part of your body for at least a month, if not 3, depending on what you have going on. And like, if I don't have any symptoms in a certain part of my body, then I work on it for a month. If I do have symptoms like in my kidneys or wherever, or my bowels, then I'll work on it longer. And just going through and just picking a different part of your body, because all of our different parts need to be detoxified and cleansed and nourished. And it's really hard to get that from just your diet. So I noticed a huge difference with my intuition and my connection to spirit. Absolutely. Because I felt like when I went into a meditation, I was like clicking into it, as opposed to like having to really work to visualize. I do a chakra meditation, and I used to have to really work at visualizing the different chakras and aligning them. And I noticed that I was just clicking into it. I would just start thinking about it, and I could just get myself to that place, and feeling a lot more grounded. That was probably the biggest aspect that I noticed, not just spirit, physically, but in a spiritual sense of feeling totally connected and in gratitude, but at the same time, eating foods that ground you, that don't fill you with sugar, that don't wreak havoc on your nervous system. So many different things that people eat, like 90% of what people think is healthy, can really wreak havoc on your body and your nervous system. Even just a simple cup of coffee, and even teas that have caffeine and those different things, and then the artificial sugars and all that kind of stuff. So I definitely noticed a difference with my overall, just how I was feeling, but feeling grounded, connected, less anxious. I feel like I had, like you mentioned before, with people just feeling sick and thinking that's normal, these little things that, especially if you feel it for years, you start just thinking, well, this is just how it is. And you kind of forget, there's this level of like not realizing that, no, it's not normal for you to have ringing in your ears all the time, like that's not normal. And so I think that when we start healing these different parts of our body, we just really get that sense, especially when you do it yourself. You feel so empowered and in so much gratitude for even having the information and then having the tools, that the universe has provided. Because, like I said, all plants have a, specific medicinal purpose. And those plants tell us, a lot of them do, when you know what to look for, like I said, the coloring and different things. So yeah.
Yeah, that reminds me, like when you're the colors of even like foods, like when I was doing the juice feast, I noticed that the colors of the fruits corresponded to the chakras,
Mm-hmm.
and then the connection of the chakras to those particular systems of the body. And
Yep.
so if I was wanting to work on a certain area, if I focused on certain plants or fruits that had that particular color or that certain area of my life, I would really focus in on that, knowing that that is something I needed to bring into balance. So I think that this is such a huge opportunity for people to think about food and herbs in a different way, because physically, if we don't take care of our bodies become distractions to our spiritual growth. They always bring us back. They bring us back into the focus of the physical self, instead of like freeing us up to be able to develop other areas of our multidimensional self. It kind of just always distracts us and pulls us back into those symptoms, I think. And also too, recognizing that you're in relationship to yourself, to your creator, but also to Mother Earth, and that she speaks to you. And if you understand how she works and how she can work with you and your physical vehicle and also your emotional, mental, and spiritual self, you can kind of consciously come into this conversation with her and understanding about how to work with her, how to heal your body, but also to develop certain aspects of your life that you are trying to cultivate more or you're trying to bring into balance. There's so many levels to this. And I think that a lot of people don't think about food and herbs affecting them on all of these different levels, but they do. Just like even like what you were saying, gosh, when I was healthy and when I was vegetarian and I did these things, I felt so much more grounded. I felt this overwhelming feeling of gratitude, which immediately increases your frequency. It immediately opens up your energetic field to receive more abundance. Being able to be in your body and yet connected to spirit. You don't have to leave your body to feel connected. You can feel grounded and yet connected to spirit at the same time. And these are just all the different lessons that I feel like Pachamama or Mother Earth teaches us. There's just layers upon layers of these lessons. And I think it's so beautiful what you're saying, because I feel like it's just kind of like weaving into all of these different lessons that we can learn from Pachamama. And it's a big deal to go back to the roots, to be able to go back to the way that we're supposed to be eating and living our lives. It affects all aspects of our lives.
Yeah,
Don't you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would agree too. And I think that what also sticks out is our body is like one of our greatest tools in this human experience. And of course, we came here to experience the body, but it can feel so easy to kind of want to numb out of the body or feel completely disconnected. Which is interesting that, as you're saying, like the ringing in the ears, that's not normal. But when we experience it so much, or even being disconnected from our body, that we don't have to feel disconnected. It's just deciding to make a change and moving forward in a way that's going to be healthy, but also help you reconnect into your body. So I love that you're even bringing that up. I would be curious to hear. So one thing that I've noticed is I have gone on phases where I'll try to eat more of a plant-based diet, and having such working, because I do a lot of sessions connecting to their ancestors. It's such a high frequency that I've noticed that I really use food to bring my energy back down or to numb out. So I feel so great eating more light and more of the natural fruits and vegetables and stuff like that. However, I have noticed that it's almost like I don't know how to bring it back down without eating food that buffers that energy. So what would you say, Sarah, in that concept? What would you say is a good kind of balance out in that way?
Yeah, I would say honestly, if you can, because I totally get that. I get that same experience after I do consultations with people because I get so connected with their energy that I almost come out of it on a high, but I'm going to become depleted at the end of that high. And so I got to get myself grounded and brought back down. And so I try to do a lot of roots, like things that are hardy, because it's easy to want to go to junk food or something that's not healthy because you know that it's going to make you feel weighted and heavy, right? Because it always does. It's the furthest thing from keeping you, light, and because you can feel grounded and connected, but also light and clear. And that's what you want. So lots of roots. You can even, like, it's funny. And I don't know how feasible this is for you, but I always eat potatoes. I always do, like some kind of potato, not potato chips, but potatoes, like potatoes with like peppers. I love to saute. So I always have something in the fridge that's like super easy, but it's hearty, red peppers, green peppers, some potatoes. And on here on Maui, we have purple potatoes, which are amazing. They're the most amazing potatoes because they're almost like a sweet potato and they're so good for you. And they're so full of nutrients. And they are literally like the deepest, darkest purple you've ever seen. They're gorgeous.
Wow.
So, and then I'll have like some mushrooms in there that I saute with like some garlic, and some olive oil. Super easy. And it's already ready to go. You don't have to eat it hot. It's fine cold. So you could have something like that prepared ahead of time, especially if you're not at home. But something that's hearty, something that is going to ground you. You could even do something like quinoa with something like a quinoa salad because quinoa has a lot of protein. So protein is going to make you feel full. So anything that's high in protein is going to make you feel a lot more full. So things like that. You could even do like smoothies could be a good option and put like some green spinach leaves in, green, any kind of a cruciferous vegetable, which are your dark green vegetables, literally have every single vitamin and mineral that you need. So it's going like spinach salads make you feel really full when you eat them. You don't need a lot of spinach because it is so full of nutrients. So it's just looking at your foods differently and seeing like, what am I getting from this food? So, like I said, for me, I try to pick things that are healthy, but that are heavier in the sense that they have more protein. They make you feel more full, like oatmeal can do it for people. So just different options like that. Everybody's different as to what, tastes good and what feels good in your body.
Yeah.
So
More of the hearty.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
just more nutrients. It's all about the nutrients because the more nutrients of fruit or vegetable has, the fuller you're going to feel. So
that's good to know. Yeah.
I heard too that natural fats actually, not only do they put fat on our bodies, but they actually create an energetic buffer around the body. So one of the recommendations I also heard was using avocado or something or the nuts on top of your grain. So like whole grain, or potatoes, like you're saying, like earthy root vegetable kind of vegetables with protein, and then some kind of healthy fat should create this natural energetic buffer to help us get back into our bodies. It's just preparing for that ahead of time because creating new healthy habits, it takes time to reestablish those new habits and making sure. That's why I love so much about what you said, Sarah, because when you were saying that when you came across this lifestyle, you had bags in front of your house, which is so Sarah, because she's either all in or all out, she's so passionate. But it's actually the way you got to do it, because if you don't fully commit, if there's things around that are easy that we're just used to grabbing because it was our go-to for however many years and it's a habit, we're just going to do that, especially when we're hungry or desperate, we're feeling so ungrounded and want to get back here in our present body and feel more grounded in our bodies. then it's easier to grab this and that because it's right there. And that's what we always did in the past. So it's like, I think the getting prepared ahead of time, I think you got to be brave and just fully jump in and say, look, I know this to be true. I just need to step into it and fully commit and believe in myself and love myself enough to do this. And then get things prepared, have things around you to where you can grab and go. Like you're saying, you don't need those things to be warm and ready. I mean, those things are delicious, even if you make a big batch of it or make extras. So that way you have those leftovers or things that you can grab, quickly out of the fridge. I think that is really smart.
Yeah. And another thing that I do, and I do it a lot for my kids too, is you can make like a trail mix. Nuts are super grounding and filling, and you can put dates in there and raisins and cashews and all sorts of the different nuts that you like, and have like a mix that's in your purse that's ready to go. Because I do feel like a lot of people, when they transition to this healthy lifestyle, whether it's slow or whether it's overnight, I tell you, it's the same for everybody. It's a gradual process where you are going to you can feel more hungry. And in reality, that's your body going through a detox process, because where we actually truly feel true hunger is in our throat, not our stomachs. So when our stomachs, when we feel that churning and we feel like we're hungry, we're dehydrated, we need to go get a big mason jar of water or fresh juices, because those also have water in them. But it's going through that transition and knowing that your metabolism has to completely change, because it does, depending on what you eat, and letting your body detox, because you're going to detox toxins. And it's truly amazing how long your body can hold on to toxins. I mean, it's amazing. So you can go a week and be fine, hit the 2-week mark and just be purging and have acne and all sorts of different detoxing symptoms and eczema and rashes and different things. And that's all very normal. It depends on the toxicity that was in your body and what needs to be cleansed. And having, a harder time sleeping can happen. And it just takes time, and it takes that willingness and the everyday. And I'm telling you, being prepared ahead of time is the only way to do it. Because when I'm out with those kids and we're in the truck and they're hungry, they are begging me for pizza, ice cream, all those things. And if you're not prepared and you don't have food, you've got cranky, starving kids in the truck.
Yeah.
It's going to be easier to go get yourself pizza. So if you have, those snacks, those bags ready to go with healthy stuff that will fill you up, and then you won't even be thinking about all of the unhealthy stuff that you can choose from, that is a game changer for sure. And make it easy. People make it really complicated. They can, just pick the things that you like to eat and get different varieties going. And nowadays, I mean, we're so blessed, because when I became totally plant-based 14 years ago, they didn't have all these delicious vegan dressings and sauces and things ready to go. Like, you can actually just go and get healthy, vegan, delicious meals where you're not even having to worry about concocting different, dressings and things. You can have those things ready to go, and they're delicious.
Yeah,
so we really are lucky now that we have so many vegan options, plant-based options, and it's affordable, especially like I noticed when Costco went from having like nothing to a ton of organic and vegan things. That's what we need more of, for sure. It needs to be readily available for people and affordable,
Absolutely.
and delicious. And then you just prepare it ahead of time.
Yes. What I love that you brought up too, Sarah, is that a lot of times when people are going through detox, they're like, this isn't working for me. I have low blood sugar. I can't do this. I can't do that. They don't understand that actually what is happening is that their body is detoxing all of those years of putting those preservatives or additives or colorings or chemicals in their body. And it takes time for your body to release that. And wasn't there something about like 7 days? It's like there's like a number of seven
7 months, 7 years. Yep.
that people
Yep.
go through these detox symptoms, and it's very normal. I remember feeling that way when I was going through detox. I had a lot of hypoglycemia reactions, and I was like, oh, I'm just not getting enough food and this and that. I would play with my mind. And I realized after time, like once I kept consistent with it, that the hypoglycemia actually started to go away, and I didn't have hypoglycemia anymore just by sticking with the plant-based lifestyle and juicing frequently and having all the fresh stuff. I was like, oh, interesting that this is something I thought was never going to go away, that was going to be something I was going to have to deal with for the rest of my life. And come to find out it was a symptom of imbalance in my body that needed to be healed. And it could be healed just by going and eating the things that were created for the human body. So
absolutely. And hypoglycemia therefore then turns into diabetes. So it's really crucial to make those changes ahead of time, because adult onset diabetes is not reversible. And it doesn't matter all the healthy things that you do. Yes, it's always helpful, but your body has just gotten to that point. And so I was hypoglycemic as well. And I think that was a huge trigger for all my headaches as a child, was that I had to have small meals in a certain amount of time, but it's because of what I was eating. It was all the Western foods, and it was, cheeses and a lot of meat and whole cups of milk. I mean, that's just how my family ate. And it just wreaked havoc on my body. My body could not handle it. And so it was the same for me, detoxing. I had to go through headaches. I had to go through just feeling tired and grumpy and get to that other side of feeling light. And I can skip a meal and I'm not going to kill somebody. You can get really irritable and have those different symptoms. So it's amazing. And so I'm always so proud of people that stick with it and keep it going. And it has to become a lifestyle. It can't be something that you do for 3 months to get over a certain ailment and then you go back to your old way of doing things. It has to be a lifestyle change. And so I actually get asked that quite a bit. It's interesting where people do feel like they can just keep eating what they're eating and take some of the herbs that I recommend and everything will be okay. And I think the hardest adjustment for people is the food, hands down. It's not hard to swallow capsules or take a tincture, but to change the way we view our food, because it's also a very social aspect. It's a very big social aspect.
Oh,
family
yes.
gatherings, holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, like those are big deals for a lot of people. And it becomes this like emotional thing, which anytime you're trying to change, it can be really difficult. And so for me, when I do consultations, I'm always reminding people the power of their words. If you sit through this consultation and continuously tell me how hard this is going to be, how hard it's going to be to not eat ice cream, how hard is it to not eat cheese, it's going to be hard. I promise you, because everything is energy. Everything is what we put out. So if you can change your mindset to, I can do this, anything is possible. You can do anything. So I really try to work with people on their mindset, because I can get a lot of people that are like, oh, I can't have pizza. I can't have whole milk creamer in my coffee every morning. Like making those changes can be difficult. So it's a lot about your mindset and how you perceive it, and perceive it as good for you and healing, and everything you do to heal yourself affects everybody else around you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what it's about, because some of us just have to be the trailblazers of like doing things differently. It's not going to look the way my family did it, but I'm doing it anyway. And people notice. People take note when you've been doing it for 14 years and people are watching. It's amazing at the kinds of ripple effect and the change that happens with your family and your friends. It's pretty empowering. It's pretty cool.
That is so
Wow.
true. Wow. I know I was thinking about, earlier I asked you about the spiritual and how it affected you spiritually and mentally. And you just brought up another area again, the emotional leg, because, people think, oh, this is just they're thinking about their physical ailment. They're thinking about their symptoms and they're coming to you. They've run out of options. And then you're like, okay, it's the herbs. Yes, but you're going to have to do this whole lifestyle change because the herbs are only going to take you so far. If you don't make the changes on your lifestyle, then you're just going to end up back in the same position that you are today. And then they go through this journey and realize, oh, it's not just, the lifestyle changes and taking the herbs. I didn't realize how emotionally attached I was to my food, or I didn't realize that I'm an emotional eater, or that I have sentimental value to this and this and this. And I feel when I'm different from my family that somehow this is pushing me out of my family or out of my groups of friends. It's like there's all of these layers. It's not just your lifestyle and diet and herbs. It affects all parts of you.
Yeah.
And it really has you really dive deep down into like why you are doing what you're doing. Like, what is the energy behind what you are putting into your body?